What's up, guys? It's John Carden for Problem Performance Coaching, and today we're going to talk about dieting, specifically how to stick to a diet. Also, welcome to this segment if you're seeing this on YouTube. I usually do this on Instagram, but I've decided to switch it up to doing it on YouTube just because the videos are longer anyways, so I think it's just a better platform for that. So, let's get into it. So, dieting. Everyone's probably been on a diet. Everyone's probably done a diet. I've done a lot of them. I've worked with a lot of different diet coaches. And one thing I think is that there's like a different attitude towards dieting in the fitness industry. And I think there's a bunch of different ones. And I think somewhere in the middle is where you should be. So you have a couple different camps. You have the holistic voodoo hoodoo yoga people. And they're way over here. You have elite bodybuilders over here. We have powerlifters somewhere up there that don't give a fuck usually. And then you have regular people somewhere over in Dr. Oz, Fit Tea, Instagram influencer land, somewhere this way, and they're completely fucking lost. So, let's get into it a little bit. Now, I come from the performance side of things. So, performance side of things, from the athletic background, it makes a lot more sense. You're focusing on being the best athlete you can be, so the goal is to have you fueled and ready to perform. That's great. Now, when we go into the fitness industry side of things, which is more of the usually more aesthetics or quick weight loss, hard, fast stuff, that's where things get really wary, and that's where I think everyone ends up looking when they talk about dieting. Okay, a lot of coaches out there, you put people on these very hard, strict diets to try to get results from them very, very quickly. You always put them on macro counting, macro tracking, calorie tracking. Well, that might not be the best way to do it with most clients. It's not sustainable. So, if you are trying to make the best diet for you, and you want to have a diet that you can sustain, it has to be something that you can do with a little bit of discomfort for a very long time. And it's also something that you could do maybe 80% of it forever. 80 to 70% of it forever. So that way you can maintain the results that you got. That being said, if you get to 4% body fat, no, you're not going to be able to maintain that. So, you have to be realistic about what you can maintain as well. I'd say anyone, you can maintain up to 10% body fat fairly easily. I think after that point, and I don't give a fuck about your excuses, your genetics, I don't really care. You can get to 10% body fat. Anyone can. And they can maintain it if they go about the approach properly. So, when you're going into dieting and you're taking the approaches to diet, what you need to consider is, one, is it sustainable? Is this something you can do? So, there's many different diets out there. What we're trying to do is get the one that works best for you. So, from the sustainability standpoint, it has to be sustainable or it's not going to be attainable. And a lot of trainers, the one trainer that I know personally, and I'm very good friends with him, one thing that he says is that unsustainable diets create unsustainable results. Okay, now let that sink in. And I thought that was very, very intelligent, and I've used that ever since I've heard it. Now, what does that mean? It means that, if you're doing something for a very short period of time, that result is going to last a very short period of time and it's not going to be sustainable for you. No matter what you think. Right? Is it not a bad idea to do a good boost at the start? Yes. I think that's a great idea. And some people need some hard, tough love, need some pain to fucking get into it and get through it. And that's great. But after that, you need to look at what's sustainable and what's right for you. So, we also need to realize that there are thousands of diets out there. And they all kind of work. Why do they work? Because there's a reduction in intake. Or you could call it a restriction. Right? Now, I don't think you need to cut out carbs completely. I think for some people and for myself, I need to go through phases where I don't eat carbs. Because I have a lot of insulin sensitivity issues because of all the bulking that I did for powerlifting. I was in like a pre-diabetic, diabetic type deal. So when I have intakes of very high refined sugar for a very long time, and intakes of processed foods, or even just like intakes of high amounts of carbs for a long time, my body gets a little bit fucked up. So I have to kind of scale that up. But that's because I know my body, and I've been dieting for like about a year now, sustainably. Periods where I go really hard, periods where I take it easy, and that's another thing. You can't diet and lose weight the whole time. You have to have periods where it's up and down, or where you're just, I would say up and down, because up and down gives you an excuse to go backwards. But what you want to do is create set points. Lose 30, 40 pounds. If you're going to lose a lot of weight, like 100 pounds plus, lose 30 pounds at a time. You know, diet down those 30 pounds, then take a break. And what I mean by take a break is track what you eat, some way, like journal it or whatever, so you know kind of the amounts of what you're eating. You don't have to track calories, macros, or whatever. Make sure you're eating good protein sources and everything. And what you would do is at that point, you would just start adding a little bit more food every week, maybe like a snack every day. Add a snack for a week, you know, watch your weight. Add a little bit more carbohydrates to one of your meals. Watch your weight. You know, it will go up a bit, then it will come back down, stagnate at where you are. Add a little bit more, and do that until you get to the point where you start gaining a little bit of weight. And then scale it back just slightly, and that's perfect. Now what you're going to do is just maintain that weight, or even gain like 4 or 5 pounds. That's fine, because it's a little bit of water weight, water retention, that's okay. And then you're going to push yourself down. So that's one way to be sustainable if you're dieting. And I think that's a really great thing to do. Even if you do have a fairly solid, sustainable diet, you need to do that. Eat foods that you like. Don't omit foods that you love. Adjust them if it's like a pizza, right? So, you know, start with adjusting the toppings. Maybe go for like a gluten-free crust, a cauliflower crust, something like that. Really, because the bread is like the biggest thing in there. And then mix around with the cheese, mix around with the toppings. So instead of pepperoni, have chicken, right? Have a lot of vegetables, have a little bit of cheese. Maybe have better types of cheese, like a goat cheese or like a feta cheese. Does it digest better? That kind of stuff. So number 2 is do stuff and eat stuff that you enjoy. Don't eat shit that you don't like. Don't just eat chicken and rice just because you feel like that's what you have to do because that's what the bodybuilders do. That's not true. If you like steak, find leaner cuts of steak that you like and learn different ways of eating the food. Number 3, learn how to fucking cook. And here's why. Because if you want to get lean and you want to be able to stay on a diet and not have to worry about eating fast food and worry about what you want to eat, if you learn how to cook and like learn the basic I'm not saying you have to be a master chef. Learn the basic fundamentals, and then you can actually get creative with your food. Especially if you're doing like macro tracking or something like that. I find for me I have to track, or else I just eat whatever the fuck I want. So for me I have to track, so I have an idea. I like the numbers. I just do it. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't overwhelm me. I've been in the fitness industry for a very long time, so it's something that I can easily do. Now, so that's what I'm saying. So you just track it, you log it in. I know exactly what I want to eat. I know how to adjust my food. I pick food that I like. I tweak it to what I want. And what I've been doing for my own diet that I found very sustainable is I started with a framework at about 3,000 calories, which was about my maintenance because my metabolism is still kind of slowly building as I've been losing weight. And then the other thing, what I did is I sat down, I looked at the foods I was eating, and I started seeing, okay, how can I reduce 300 calories a day? Okay, I eat bread. Alright, I don't want to stop eating that bread. I want to feel full. I want to have some carbs in the morning because if I don't, I feel like trash and I'm a grumpy bear. Okay, so let's not be a grumpy bear. So what I did is I started looking at different sources of carbohydrates that I can have in the morning. So I came across sprouted bread. Then I started, okay, I want to decrease my fat a little bit. That will help decrease my calories. Instead of cutting out whole eggs completely, what I did was instead of having 5 or 6 whole eggs, I had 2 whole eggs and a cup of egg whites. That way I got my protein still. And that cut it down right there. Then, after that got a little bit easy and that was not so bad, and everything after 3-4 weeks, then I cut out my oatmeals, my pre-workout oatmeal. So now I've cut that down. That's about 400 or 500 calories right there. I cut out all added sugars. I didn't have any. Okay? How did I maintain this? How did I stay on this? I had 1 day a week where I had a calorie limit. And I still do this right now. I have a calorie limit I have a protein goal, and that's it. Well, actually I also have a carb goal, and the goal is to hit 3 times what my normal carbs are, and it's been about 100 grams, so lately I have to get 300 grams of carbs on my cheat day. And what that does is it forces me to eat pretty decent food, because the calorie goal is only 1,000 calories plus what my actual regular calorie goal is. And I also have low calorie, low carb days, and I do a little bit of carb cycling right now, and that works for me, but I've worked into that. I didn't start with that. I started with 3,000 calories, and I did that for a little while, and I lost like half a pound a week, did that for a month, then I cut it down, kept cutting it down, and things just kept going. The other thing I did is also, and I think you also need to do, is work on your exercising. Find ways to add a little bit of exercise that's sustainable, like 15-minute walks every day. Mark Bell talks about this. It's a great one. Stand Up for Deem as well. There's so many benefits to 15-minute walks. Look it up. You'll see it's a great way to do it. So that's another key, raising your activity. As far as the sustainability of the diet, like I said, you gotta kind of find what works for you. And as a coach, you gotta find what works for the client. So what I found with a lot of clients, journaling is great. Habit tracking and coaching the habit. So as a coach, you should be educated enough to know the calorie expenditures of each habit that you're subscribing to the client. People you work with are probably pretty good at their diet. I mean, are probably pretty good at something in their life. They might just suck at health and wellness. And that's okay. That's why you're a trainer. That's why you're a nutrition coach. Or maybe you're just someone trying to help your friend. Same thing. That's why you're trying to help them, because you are good at it. You have a passion for it, you like it. Now what you need to do is help people get better at it themselves. So, and to do that, you need to build up their confidence. It's be the same thing as like if you were to go do speeches. You wouldn't start doing speeches in front of everyone at a Super Bowl. You would do them like this, or you would do them like to a friend, and then you would just keep going up and up, because that way you build the confidence, so that way when you get on the big stage you feel great. That's the same shit with your clients. So this is the same shit you're trying to do, is build them up, get them built up, get this sustainable, and build it towards, and look and watch and talk to them, or even if you're doing it on your own, kind of sit back, think, and go, okay, I like eating this works for me, okay, I'm going to try more of that, okay, can I do this long term? Ask those questions to yourself as well. When you get near the end of a diet, especially if you're trying to lose a lot of weight and you're trying to get really lean, that question changes, because the goal is different. But anything 10% and up, body fat wise, I think you don't have to ask yourself, you shouldn't really be worried about that other step. So if you are trying to get under 10% body wise, that other step may not always work for you, because whereas, oh, can I do this forever? Because you can't. And you need to be realistic, and it also creates bad problems for your body if you try to. So staying about 10-12% is perfect. And that's where I found for most clients, they can have like a very achievable life, and they feel really great. But it takes some work to get there. But if you're trying to get lower than that, you're going to do shit that is not sustainable. And that's okay. But just know, have an angle of how to get out of it properly, and know that you're going to have to do it a little while longer than you think, just so you can reverse out of it. Alright? So those are my big tips for sustainability when you're dieting. I hope this helps everyone. I'm going to be doing more nutrition talks in the future.